Thank you very much, Ephraim. So I'm very happy to moderate this next session on the public forum of the EC2U Alliance. Once again, I'm Ludovic Thilly, the coordinator of the EC2U Alliance, and this is for those who are joining online, because the whole conference is broadcast on the USAL TV. And I would like actually to thank the technical team for the beautiful work they are doing. This session is entitled Enhancing EC2U Links Between Education and Research. And this actually directly follows the discussion we just had with the Deputy Minister Garces. Because among the primary goals of our alliance, EC2U Alliance, we really want to put at the center not just education, but also research, innovation, and of course service to society. So the way we will walk through this session is I will first recall what is the EC2U Alliance with a short presentation. And among this presentation, you will see that we have created already a few months ago, during the first year of the EC2U Alliance, an instrument that we are convinced will help enhancing the link between education and research, and namely what we called the EC2U Virtual Institutes. I will say a bit further when I will present. And after that, each of the scientific coordinators that are also work package leaders of the EC2U Alliance will give you a flavor in 10 minutes each of what does it mean a virtual institute, what are they promoting, and then after the three presentations from my colleagues, I will come back with another example of how we put research and innovation at the very center of the EC2U Alliance with a recent program that we have been granted from the Horizon 2020 European program called Research and Innovation for Cities and Citizens. And I will briefly show what we are going to do in the next 3 years, and this will bring us to the end of this session. So let me first provide again an overview of what is the EC2U Alliance. As you can see on the first slide, the EC2U Alliance, meaning European Campus of City Universities, has been selected by the European Commission last year, so we are soon celebrating the first year of this ambitious project, ambitious alliance, and we are receiving funding from the Commission for the period of 3 years, 2020-2023. And hopefully, after that, we will again receive funding from the Commission to continue to extend the cooperation. So what is the EC2U Alliance? Well, first, the core part of the consortium is composed of 7 universities. We are here in Salamanca, so obviously it's a member of the EC2U Alliance, but we have also the University of Coimbra in Portugal, the University Alexandru Cuza in Iasi, Romania. We also have the University Friedrich Schiller in Jena, Germany. We have the University of Pavia in Italy, University of Poitiers in France, my home university, University of Turku in Finland, and of course, as I said earlier, Salamanca. But that's not about it. We also have decided to bring on board associated partners that are key actors of our society. Namely, we have the 7 municipalities that are officially embarked into this journey. We also have some regional agencies, regional governments. Of course, very important, we have students' associations, because all what we are doing is in the end for the students. So it has to be for the students, but with the students. It's a co-design, it's a co-creation mechanism. And this week, actually, each university sent some students here in Salamanca, and I hope they are having a good time, but it's not just about fun. It's also that they are starting to discuss, to cooperate, and to speak with each other, which is, again, this topic of multilingualism. We also have some science parks, some socioeconomic actors, typically chambers of commerce, etc. These 30 associated partners are key partners to us. And just before the public conference this morning, we had the EC2U Plenary Council where we have all the partners together with us. And we could see that actually already there is very strong cooperation going on between the municipalities, between the students' associations, and so on. And it's a real pleasure for all of us to see that all these efforts that we are trying to develop are making things becoming real. This is really important. In a few facts and figures, the EC2U Alliance gathers about 162 students, about 20,000 staff, including researchers, teachers, but also administrative staff. Also, the 7 universities for the past decade, they have already coordinated and been granted more than 600 European projects. So we actually dare to say that we have a strong expertise in European projects. Hopefully we will see if it serves the Alliance. We also see that when we prepared this project, we saw that we were already cooperating in research. And typically for, again, the past decade, we could see that we had already more than 1,200 research papers published, where from 2 up to 5 universities are co-authoring these papers. So which means that the research among the Alliance is already very active, and we built our project on this. And also very importantly, the 7 cities and municipalities or metropolitan areas are bringing together 1.6 million citizens. And this is also very important to realize this, because we want to reach out these citizens, and you will see how. What you see now is the research profiles of our 7 universities. So it may look a bit small, so I apologize for that. But what you see here are the 7 universities in a graph which is called the Wheel of Science, where you see a color code and some dots. The size of the dot is related to the strength of a research field, typically number of publications, and the color refers to the different fields. Typically, you see all the blue shades are related to what we would typically call the natural and hard sciences, physics, mathematics, etc. All the green shades are related to environment and biology. The red and pink is related to the health related topics. And all the orange and yellow corresponds to the social sciences and humanities. And first, as you can see, our 7 universities are comprehensive. We almost have all disciplines. They are very much looking similar, but they also are very complementary. And now if we look at how we are already cooperating, and this is the next slide, you see the same graph with the joint publications that we could identify during the past decade. So these 1,221 joint publications. And they also gather around points of interest, which means that there are some focus of joint research in our alliance. And typically, we do find some in the hard sciences, but also in energy and environmental sciences, health and biology, and also on SSH, social sciences and humanities. And when we realized that we had already this very strong research cooperation, we decided to use it and to embed it into a much well-recognized framework, which are the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These goals have been put forward by the United Nations. There are 17, and you see here these 17s. And based on the previous graph, we realized that we were altogether already very strong in 3 of them. Of course, this is not the only 3 that are for which we are very strong, but we had to decide to select a small number first, and in the next years we'll continue to deploy our common effort. But clearly we could see that already we are very strong in good health and well-being, in quality education, and sustainable cities and communities. And actually all these three topics are very much related to this idea of strong bond to the society. In a way, we were somehow maybe visionary, I dare to say, because this was proposed in 2019 and actually a year later, we all faced the worldwide pandemic. So clearly this idea of good health and well-being is more than ever relevant, and we are already working on it. So the way we have designed the EC2U Alliance is what you can see now as we call the EC2U Temple. It is based, it shows actually all the group of activities, what we called in the European project jargons, the work packages. These work packages are each led by a different university, but we are participating to all activities. It's really a global effort, a collegial approach to it. And among these different work packages, let me just tell you that three are, I wouldn't say more important than others because they are all important. But in this topic of making a link between research and education, three are particularly important. This is the work package 4, 5, and 6 that I will present a bit later on. But before that, let me just tell you that when we design the EC2U Alliance, we really want to create a pan-European campus that offers all the services to its community, the students and the staff, which means that we will develop typically some shared learning spaces, some joint cultural events, some sports events. Actually, our students this week have already shared some sport events, and they will tonight also have some intercultural mixing, and this will continue until the end of the week. We have already had the first EC2U science battle where we showed that we can compete, but we can also share the knowledge with the people. What we are also needing to make our alliance working is digital platforms and digital tools. And this is what we have under the so-called Connect Center. After a year of activity, these tools will soon be available, and they will allow us to manage mobility between the students and the staff, to have the first so-called knowledge hub that will give us the possibility to interrogate each of the different systems at the university. So we need these digital tools now to operate all together. We will also have the EC2U student cards and many other things. I will not go in all the details, but just to tell you that in 3 years we will deliver more than 300 deliverables. So that's a real challenge, and hopefully we'll succeed. Also, we are trying to extend our impact to the outer world, if I may say. And by this, I mean we are really trying to involve citizens. And we do this through 3 types of activities, namely what we call the European talents, the European education, and the European engagement. I will not again go into the details. You can find many information on the EC2U website, but just to tell you that we are very committed to transfer all this knowledge to the people and to really bring them with us into this journey. So now actually let me just briefly go back on this idea of virtual institutes, because they will be the core engines of this possibility to really bring together education and research to make a difference, to make an impact to the society. And again, we will focus on the 3 UN SDGs that I mentioned earlier: the good health and well-being, the quality education, and the sustainable cities and communities. The concept of a virtual institute should be really understood as a new way of cooperation, a sort of laboratory without walls, because we don't want it to be located specifically somewhere. It will be shared between the 7 universities. Usually the wording institute is understood in terms of research. Here, the virtual institute, the EC2U Virtual Institute, has to be understood as the place where all people interested in participating to the education and research effort will work together. It means not just researchers, it means teachers, it means also students. Researchers can be also understood as senior but also young researchers. We want all these forces to work together because we need all actors to really achieve the challenge, the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, because it is more urgent than ever to really make an impact. If we wait without doing, only speaking, we will never reach these SDGs. So the virtual institutes, we have created them a few months ago. There are 3 to start, but with time they will continue to develop in number, addressing more and more of the SDGs. So the first 3 virtual institutes are, of course, one on good health and well-being, the second one on quality education, and the third one on sustainable cities and communities. They are going now to develop activities in education. Among these ones, we will next year open the first EC2U joint master programs. These will be completely new interdisciplinary master programs that are not, let's say, structured in the traditional way. They are mixing together the different disciplines and the different existing expertise at the 7 universities. And they will bring a new way to the students to be trained, typically in this idea of a challenge-based approach. So my colleagues will say a few words about that. So this is already prepared. We will open next year. And of course, now we are also opening the activities to the research field. And within these virtual institutes, we can really make a very strong bond between education and research. So now my colleagues are going one after another to present a few examples of what is going on now at the virtual institutes. And let me just first introduce my colleague from University of Iași, Professor Daniela Soitu. She is the work package leader in charge of the first Virtual Institute for Good Health and Wellbeing. Daniela, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Thilly. Thank you very much, dear coordinator of the EC2U Alliance. It's a pleasure and an honor to contribute with some knowledge in this historical place and have a piece upon another of those collecting during 800 years. How we will do this? By the previously mentioned Virtual Institute for Good Health and Well-being. And allow me to synthesize a couple of activities we had performed during the first year of the project. First of all, this Virtual Institute for Good Health and Well-being is based on a couple of pillars. The first pillar is a literacy lab. And what kind of literacy we intend to offer, focused with subjects focused on social determinants of health, on healthy aging, on smart aging. And one of the activities we've scheduled in each of the 3 years of the project refer to summer schools. And we've already hosted in Iași, at the Alexandru Ioan Cuza University of Iași, the first summer school called Smart Aging and Healthy Life. And on the left corner, you can see some images moving and showing some of the activities and impression of students who participated in the summer school. next to this activity, it's our intention to have interdisciplinary teams performing transformative research and getting to a hub of transformative research on the same topics, lifelong well-being and healthy aging. Why transformative? Not because it's fashionable word, but because it involves, as Professor Thilly have mentioned, students, researchers, academic and administrative staff living in the city, not only in the campus. We didn't forget the campus, and campus meaning not only the building accommodating students around the university, but the campus as a place of living, sharing, learning, and growing, achieving, developing knowledges, relations, and reaching different objectives. This is a new and innovative idea which we will develop together with our colleagues from the University of Jena and the colleagues from the other partner universities. In order to do that, we have already organized 2 workshops as a floor to share the best practices from the 7 universities, best practices from the administrative staff and used by students and students associations in order to support their colleagues, their peers during the mobility. And it was not just a storytelling during these workshops. It was a real occasion to learn from each other. It happens that this project has been visionary in the activities planned, and one of this activity, it's called Online Peer Counseling Lab. It has started already, and it works very well, and it was really appropriate during last academic year for the students being on a mobility in other country, other city, other university, being in a lockdown situation. They had the opportunity to discuss with their peers, preparing themselves for the psychology. So students, we are talking about future psychologists offering support to their peers, of course, under the supervision of the clinicians and respecting all the ethical rules and academic rules. This is working, and we will continue to develop. As Professor Ludovic Thilly has mentioned, a very important step in building and developing the cooperation between the 7 universities is to answer to a major challenge. It's a kind of European challenge, framing a joint master program in a certain topic. And what we have worked on during the last year is the joint master program called Lifelong Wellbeing and Healthy Aging, with an acronym Lifeline, as the Virtual Institute have the acronym GLADE. And I would like to thank you to the Vice Rector of University of Poitiers, Christine Fernandez, who helped us with these nice acronyms, and we embrace it and use them. What you've seen on the right corner of the screen, it's a promotional video for the master program. We have succeeded to accreditate as a national master program in Romania, but we didn't stop here, because you see, previously Professor Thilly said that we have some strong points in the alliance. But as you know, the better is the enemy of good, so we want to do better and better. And on this way, we are working on the applications for new accreditation processes by the University of Pavia and the University of Poitiers, for instance, and the other colleagues from the other universities are working also on this. What we have started to do for the next year of the project, continuing to work on the three pillars previously mentioned, but this work is not an unpleasant work. It's pleasant by the challenges it raises. So regarding the literacy lab, we are preparing a kind of GLADE conferences, one per month, in order to enhance the sharing, the process of sharing knowledges and practices and researches on the topic of good health and well-being. We are waiting for the next summer school, which will be hosted by the University of Pavia next year, and also encouraging our colleagues to share their knowledge to the community using the technologies. That means recorded short trainings in the area of good health and well-being. And in less than 2 weeks, we will release the first study on lifelong well-being and healthy aging, performing a comparative analysis of the 17 targets associated to this third objective, good health and well-being. And it's the right time to start to work with the community in order to develop guidelines for local authorities on the same topic, good health and well-being. And we will link this with the campuses, what means city universities. And we'll continue to develop this management service of Healthy Campus by a short study. We will be able to share the results on the next forum and using the project links and other conferences. And we are inviting you all who are watching and listen now on YouTube or other media to consider applying to this new and challenging master program, Lifelong Wellbeing and Healthy Aging. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniela. So you have a flavor of what we are doing under this topic of good health and well-being under the Virtual Institute with the same name. So now it's a pleasure to introduce my other colleague, Raul Sanchez, who is the leader of the Work Package 5, but also the scientific coordinator of the second Virtual Institute on Quality Education. The floor is yours, Raul.
Thank you very much, Ludovic. May I have the slides, please? Okay, thank you. So, the Virtual Institute for Quality Education combines education, research and innovation for advanced studies on quality education. Within the 3-year framework of our project, only a pilot project profile of this Virtual Institute will be developed and fully implemented. Language, cultural and societal diversity in Europe. So all activities that we are developing and that will be developed in the next 2 years are related to European languages, cultures and societies. Our Virtual Institute has already finished one of its core activities. We have submitted, each board member of WEP5 has submitted an application for the accreditation of a joint multilateral master's degree to our respective national or regional accreditation agency. We hope that we will start our Master in European Languages, Cultures and Societies in contact next year, at least some of our universities. This activity has been a rather difficult one due to the extremely different accreditation procedures and requirements in the 7 countries and to the lack of implementation of the European approach. Besides this activity, we are currently working on the following 3 research-related initiatives. We will be implementing in the next months a research seed mobility program on language and cultural diversity for researchers. We are working on the first common research project of our virtual institute, the language policy and multilingualism in European universities research project, and we are beginning to design joint PhD training activities for the existing PhD programs on European languages and cultures. I will now outline the 3 initiatives in the following minutes. I will start with the Research Seed Mobility Program on language and cultural diversity. The main objective of this Research Seed Mobility Program is to actively promote in-depth collaboration, research collaboration among researchers and research groups of the 7 EC2U universities. Already existing research groups working on languages, cultures, and societies in contact, as well as on education as a vehicle of language and cultural diversity, they are expected to work together to form EC2U research clusters, to develop research seed projects, and then to apply for additional national and European funding. So researchers working on multilingualism, on contrastive linguistics, on comparative literature, heritage languages, international gender studies, intercultural studies, intercultural communication, or in the digital humanities are encouraged to apply for 1 or 2 mobilities. The Virtual Institute will fund a total of nearly 300 mobilities, more or less 44 per university. Candidates must express their interest in participating to the Virtual Institute prior to the submission of the mobility proposal, but this is just a formality. They must hold an academic position at one of the 7 EC2U universities, which allows them to engage in research activities for the duration of the research project, of the mobility project, and a position that also includes the ability to independently publish research results. The mobility grants will cover the attendance of researchers to working sessions aimed at preparing national and European research and development project applications. The Virtual Institute will organize 4 to 5 days meetings at one of our 7 universities. There will be several meetings depending on the topics selected by the researchers, and of course depending on the European calls, research calls. Mobilities must take place between next month, November 2021, and April 2023. And to all interested, please, if you are interested, please contact your Virtual Institute representative at your university. The second activity we are working on now is the research project Language Policy and Multilingualism in European Universities. This research project involves more than 15 researchers from the 7 universities. The aim of the project is to study the current language policies at universities taking part in European alliances and also at universities which are not engaged officially in official European alliances. The research team adopts a comparative approach to study language policy practices. The research design is both qualitative and quantitative and incorporates research methods from the humanities, from the social sciences, and also from the digital humanities. We will analyze the current language policies in European universities from very different points of view. The University of Salamanca is responsible for the analysis of the language policies on the ground, and we will hear more about it later in the day. The University of Poitiers, under the leadership of Professor Valetopoulos, will study the language policy implications of foreign language tactics. The University of Turku, under the leadership of Professor Daivalkovsky-Shilov, is now currently designing the role of translation studies in language policy. The last two universities, Poitiers and Turku, will also analyze the institutional language policies from a multilingual point of view and also incorporating digital linguistics. The University of Pavia will be developing the computational linguistic part of the project under the leadership of Professor Jezek. The University of Coimbra, under the leadership of Professor Keating, will concentrate on critical discourse analysis and linguistic ethnography applied to language policy documentation. The University Ioan Cuza of Iași, under the leadership of Professor Popa, will examine education policies and language education. And the University of Vienna, represented here by Dr. Yolanda Lopez, will be working on the social imaginaries and the role of migrants in university language policy. We will examine language policy practices at Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian, German, Romanian, Finnish, Dutch, and Belgian universities. And the last activity I would like to present is our joint PhD training activities. In fact, there are two training activities which are to be developed in the second and third year of the project. We plan to offer workshops and courses for the existing PhD programs on European languages and cultures. The main aim of the training activities is to prepare future university teachers to multilingual European campuses in a world shaped by artificial intelligence. And these activities will be the first step towards future fully integrated PhD programs. And our funding tool are again mobilities. We will offer up to 70 student mobilities. So we will organize the workshops for future university staff in the next two spring semesters under the denomination New Multilingual Learning and Teaching Spaces for European Campuses. And we will further support the organization of two PhD intensive courses on machine learning techniques and text processing tools applied to the study of linguistic diversity and cultural perception. We will have a workshop or an intensive course every 6 months. And we will, of course, make a public call for students and also for staff willing to participate in these courses. And the selected candidates will get financial support for traveling and daily allowances. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Raul. Again, a very large number of activities under this second virtual institute that will really make a very strong link between education and research. So now let's have another set of examples regarding the third virtual institute, the one on the sustainable cities and communities. And for this is the work package leader, but also the scientific coordinator of the virtual institute, Manuel Gameiro from University of Coimbra. Manuel.
Thank you very much, Ludovic. Good morning. Before going in detail into the activities, I would like only to mention why I think the Virtual Institute is really a bright idea. Because Professor Ludovic mentioned already that a virtual institute is an institute without walls. And I think we may add that it's like a very clever way of optimizing the investment that has been done till now in each university, either with national funds, either with European funds. Because in each university we have, let us say, facilities, we have know-how, we have experts, and we know that if we have a group of people, we can go, we can cover a much longer distance, and we can get much better results than if we are working alone. So putting together all these things that we have, it's a very good way of somehow optimizing all the facilities, all the computers, all the the laboratories, and even there is another aspect that it's interdisciplinarity, because we will have people from different scientific areas analyzing the same problem. And of course, if we have different points of view from an object, we will have a much better knowledge of this object. If we have only one point of view, there is always something that will be in the shadow. And this way, having different points of view, it's a very good way of analyzing and of getting a better expertise of something. So, in the case of work package 6, we are in the virtual institute. Of course, we should focus in the different pillars of the university activities, which is education, training, research, knowledge transfer. And as already mentioned by my colleagues, we have the master. So this is something I think quite new in the EC2U. It's to have these joint master programs. And as Professor Ludovic mentioned already, there was a big effort in the first year to have these master programs accredited and to be ready to start next year. And we will be somehow testing different approaches regarding this master. So we will be checking what are the best ways of having a master in this type of alliance. So besides the master program, we have in what concerns research, 2 research seed projects to start, and these research projects are very important, not only on account of the results that we want to achieve from the scientific point of view in terms of indicators and so on, but also for the cohesion of the alliance, because the best way of having a good alliance is to have people working together in the same subject. And in this case, we decided to select 2 areas that can be important for EC2U. So first of all, as we are dealing with the cities and with the problems that we may have in cities nowadays, okay, this was defined before the pandemic, because if it was a little bit later, maybe it was another topic. But so the first topic, is it, where should I point to? Yeah. So the first project is about increasing the resilience of sensible groups to the effect of heat waves in European cities in a climate change scenario. So everybody knows that this is, we have, on account of climate change, the number of heat waves is being increasing. And really, this is a topic that has, for instance, a strong connection with the health and well-being. So the way the cities are planned and the way the buildings are designed and the type of environment that we have inside the buildings. It's very, very important for the wealth of people. And so in this project, we have the participation of the University of Iasi in the topics related with the urban planning and the sustainability. We have the participation of the University of Iena. It's more on the spatial analysis, the human geographic and the physical geography. And the University of Turku will be dealing also with geographic and GIS, Geographical Information Systems. And in our case, the University of Coimbra, we will be dealing with indoor environmental quality and the sustainable built environment. The other project, okay, this is about how the project A is defined, but okay, I may go to the project B. Okay, so the project B, it's about it should be something with a EC2U stamp. So it was what we wanted. And our cities, are cities with university campus that somehow have many buildings with, let us say, heritage character. So these are, as we can see in this room, for instance, I would like to call your attention how recent technology is integrated in this building in such a let us say a clever way. So you see all the electrical plugs are in the same color as the wood, and so Salamanca in itself is really an amazing city, because we see here in the city center so many historic buildings, and so I think, and having a comfortable and healthy let us say buildings when we have historic center, and it's a quite important challenge from many points of view. First of all, I think from the law point of view, because it's we have different constraints. We have also problems with architecture technology. We may have problems with the built environment. We may have also participation from energy efficiency and sustainability. So we have all these topics being addressed by the University of Salamanca, the University of Pavia, the University of Poitiers, and the University of Coimbra. Okay, so finally, Ludovic is looking at me. I'm almost in time, so just one more topic to be addressed. We will have a strong connection of these topics from the Virtual Institute also with the master. And in the master, we will have some courses that will, in the first semester, one course dealing with an introduction to sustainable cities and communities, and in the second semester, another course about the governance of sustainable cities and communities. And in these two courses, we'll be addressing the 10 sub-targets of the Sustainable Development Goal 11 that somehow deal with a very broad area like mobility, energy, environment, urban planning, regional planning. So And we will use this as a way to put together either the 7 universities, either the associated partners, because we will invite experts from the 7 universities and also from the associated partners to contribute to these courses. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Does it? Yeah, now it works. Thank you. Thank you, Manuel, very much for these examples of the activities that are going to happen under the 3rd Virtual Institute. The last part of this session goes back to me. I would like to give you more examples on how the EC2U Alliance is going really to move forward in this very strong synergy between education, research, and innovation. And for that, I think the most important is to have the slides again. We are now actually starting another European project that has been granted to the Alliance called Research and Innovation for Cities and Citizens, I4C2. I will unfortunately go very briefly through the slides, but the main message hopefully will be clear enough. We are actually we have been awarded, as I just said, some Horizon 2020 funding. An extra 2 million was allocated to the Alliance, and the project started last September. So we have just started in a way. We are going with this additional funding to extend, in addition to what we just heard, to continue to extend the activities of the Alliance to the research and innovation fields. And we are going to do so through what is called transformation modules. Actually, you see on that slide, which is very small and not maybe so interesting, that there is a very strong connection between the two projects, the Erasmus, that is basically constructing the Alliance, and this Horizon 2020 project. I don't want to go too much into details here, it's a little bit boring. The most important part is that we are going to really address very important challenges in how we perform research and innovation. And it will start with what we call the transformation management, where we will pave the way towards a joint research and innovation series of activities. For that, we need really to, what we call, create a pan-European knowledge ecosystem. There will be another set of activities where we will develop a joint research and innovation agenda. This one is led by the University of Salamanca. Again, I will not go through all the details, but this will be key for the future of our Alliance. Another activity will deal about really placing people doing research innovation at the center. It is what we call the people empowerment. There, this is the University of Coimbra who will lead, and in particular, there will be a very strong focus on gender equality in research. Another set of activities will be to make available to all universities some joint research and innovation platforms. This will be developed by the University of Pavia, and this will be a continuation of what I presented earlier, the so-called EC2U Connect Center. We are also going, with the help of the University of Vienna, to develop what we call the innovation sphere. This innovation sphere will actually bring on board all the actors involved in the innovation process, and will along the 3 years are going to develop lecture series, but also we will create a network of lighthouses of innovation, and we will also develop a makeathon. The next set of activities will be about creating a true knowledge ecosystem. For that, and this will be led by University of Iași, we are going to develop a common framework for the 7 local knowledge ecosystems. We will also work on citizen science, which means that citizens can be actors of research and innovation. The next set of activities will be what we call the Open EC2U, which means that we are going to develop all the tools and guidelines to develop open access in research and innovation, something which is absolutely fundamental for the future of research, and this will be led by University of Turku. And last but not least, we are going to disseminate beyond the EC2U Alliance through different type of fora, but also coordinating joint activities with other alliances. So this is where we are going to stop now this session on the EC2U links between education and research. I hope that those in the room, but also those connected online, will have a good idea of what we are going to achieve all together to make the EC2U Alliance an impactful and a real transformation into the higher education, but also research field. So I thank my colleagues for their presentations. I thank you all for your attention. And now we will move on to the next session. Thank you all. Thank you very much.